Rob Leigh is joining me live on Sportuccino. Rob, how are you doing this morning? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rich. I'm very well. How the heck are you?
I'm doing fantastic because I just watched WWE Survivor Series last night. The huge main event. Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar with 3 moves. I don't think anyone saw it coming. Did you?
No, not at all. That was a bit of a shocker, really, wasn't it? After how many? Well, Brock's gone undefeated for a very long time, and obviously the rumor mill has cranked into action as to why he has suffered this loss. But the answer is Goldberg's the better man on this occasion, obviously.
What were you expecting? How did you originally think it was going to go?
I thought Goldberg was going to be left in a smear on the canvas, really. He's 49 now. It was 2004 was his last WWE match. I think he's had a few contests, possibly in New Japan and elsewhere, independents since then. But yeah, I didn't see the betting beforehand, and people seem to object to betting when it comes to WWE and wrestling. But you can bet on X Factor and the Eurovision Song Contest and all those kind of things. But I think you would have probably got pretty wide odds at Goldberg at 49. It looks in fantastic condition, of course, but you know, the hairs are greying, and it's not 2001 anymore, which is good news when it comes to WCW. But I personally, as a Brock fan, would have hoped that he would have marmalised Goldberg.
I was amazed at how good Goldberg looked, actually. I want to know his training secrets. If you can stay in that shape at 49, it's absolutely incredible. For me, it actually made a bit of sense because, you know, Brock Lesnar did have those intestine problems during his time at UFC. I can't even pronounce exactly what it was, diverticulitis or something like that.
That's the one.
I'm not a doctor. But
I'll let you do it rather than me attempt it.
Exactly. I thought I'd give it a go. I tried to pronounce some Polish UFC stars a couple of weeks ago. That was disastrous, so this can't be any worse.
Joanna.
And, you know, I quite liked it just because of the sheer shock factor. And by doing it so short and sweet, it just made it look, yeah, it was such a surprise. And the thing is, when it came to that event, I watched it last night on the WWE Network, and it was like 15 minutes left. And I was like, all right, when you add the entrances, then you add the bit at the end with whoever it is celebrating or the shock factor. I was like, this only leaves about 6 minutes for a match. And in the end, it actually proved to be about 30 seconds for a match. So where do you think Goldberg goes next?
Well, without wanting to reveal too many spoilers, Raw was on in the early hours of this morning, and Goldberg was on Raw. He appeared again, and he's declared that everybody is next, and he has put himself in for the Royal Rumble in January to compete for, well, as we presume, one of the title shots at WrestleMania. So there's at least one more match to go with Goldberg, and with the the contractual situations of WWE, the kind of people they're hiring these days, and there seems to be no limits on who can perform. We look at the UK tryouts and all the different kind of people that are being lined up for NXT. It could literally be anyone in the world next for Goldberg. But who would you like to see him go against next, Rich?
I've not really thought enough about it. Where I would like to eventually see Lesnar is Lesnar against Kevin Owens. I think that would be quite a good WrestleMania, albeit, as I said on Thursday's show, I think it would be quite good at this WrestleMania to see Owens versus Jericho. I think that would reach a natural conclusion. I'm not sure who I'd like to see Goldberg. The thing which was always interesting for me when they said this was a one-time deal was that if he was going to do a one-time match, surely he'd agree for it to be at WrestleMania. You wouldn't be like, oh, I want to do Survivor Series. So that was a little bit of a giveaway for me where I was thinking there must be a second match on the cards.
Does that mean that you're not particularly excited about a second Goldberg match? Because I didn't mind seeing him come into the Survivor Series, but on the understanding, me as a fan, that he was going to lose to Brock Lesnar. And Survivor Series is so linked with the video game release, and he's obviously on the, well, he's not on the front cover, is he? But Brock's on the front, but he is a major part of it. And you've got to think, looking at the form of the past couple of years, that Goldberg is a likely contender for the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania next year. But it is hard to think who you'd want to see him against next. Maybe someone like Reigns, but I would have thought still that the money opponent for Reigns, maybe not at this WrestleMania, probably 2 WrestleManias ago, was Brock Lesnar.
For me, I think the one is Undertaker. Right?
Okay.
But then, for Goldberg's kind of main gimmick is that he does win these matches quickly, and I don't think the Undertaker would allow that to happen. We've seen The Rock, we've seen Cena, we've seen Triple H. If you go back to 2004, there's none of those kind of big draws which they like to bring back, who I'd like to see. So does he face someone fresh? Does he face an AJ Styles? Does he face a Seth Rollins? I'm not sure. It's a lot to think about between now and WrestleMania. Let's have a bit more talk about the Survivor Series, Rob. Apart from that event, that main event, what was the match which you enjoyed the most?
I think the match that came just before it, the men's elimination match, was probably the one that held the most intrigue for me going in, and really delivered. Because the great thing about Survivor Series, and you mentioned right at the top of how it's one of the big 4 shows, the great thing has always been about Survivor Series is seeing people interact you wouldn't necessarily see, as fans of our age back in the day. Obviously now on Raw, when everybody matches up against everyone, with SmackDown, you see these matchups go burn through very quickly. But the great thing about Survivor Series back in the day was that you could see all these guys interact without any context of story, and that'd be fantastic. Now there's so much story packed in, but I thought it was really well done at this show. Incident packed, as we expect with WWE shows now, everything maximised to the hilt. But I was surprised to see Kevin Owens taking out the match so quickly, and Dean really, but that set up perfectly the Shield reunion, and they slapped it on hard, the Shield reunion, and then all Shane's kind of activity. It was, I thought it was a big, strong main event. I thought it was the main event as well, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely played out like the main event. What did you think of the actual result? Did it make sense for Wyatt and Orton to be the sole survivors?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I thought it would be SmackDown. I thought Raw would get the other 2 matches, and this would be SmackDowns. But I did perceive that I did think it'd be more with AJ ending on top and building to maybe something with Undertaker, and then as a way to get Undertaker and Cena going at WrestleMania, which is still, for me, the biggest possible match that WWE can put together for a WrestleMania.
I wonder what that means for Undertaker now, because he kind of, we spoke about this on Thursday, Sportuccino, about how Undertaker was like, yeah, you better win, or otherwise you'll feel my wrath. I'm a SmackDown guy. I won't be defined by WrestleMania. And you're thinking, if you're a SmackDown guy, why aren't you actually representing SmackDown and taking Shane McMahon's place? And now you're thinking, all right, so they've won. So he's not angry with anyone. So he doesn't actually need to come and defend SmackDown's honor anymore. So he can just have another snooze again until WrestleMania, can't he?
Yeah, he doesn't have to put his wig on for another 6 months or so.
Exactly. So it's... Yeah, I wonder where they'll go with him with that. Rob, what about the rest of the cards? You had the women's match. Did that make sense with Charlotte and Bayley, sole survivors, and then Charlotte attacking Bayley? It was pretty much as we predicted on Thursday's show.
Yes, please, more of that. Lots of Bayley. Push her, as they say, push her to the moon. I don't know why she'd want to go to the moon. There's not much many houses to draw up there, but and Charlotte looked dominant. She's quite incredible the way it's so patronising. As I'm saying it sounds patronising. But she's just an incredible presence now, Charlotte. And Natalya, lots of the nice little subplots in all of these matches with Natalya coming in, and just the crowd in Toronto going crazy for her. And Alexa Bliss, I thought she looked really great. And Becky, I thought Becky was kept. Becky's such a fantastic character and so much to invest in. And it was nice to see on the pre-show, one of the strongest aspects on the pre-show was a little interview segment that she was a part of with Nikki. And I just think Becky Lynch is so strong. And although she was overwhelmed in the end, the constant fight, and she got that submission over Ms. Jax, who was booked like Vader, which can't be anything.
Really, really strong, and made her tap out. I think that really does Becky Lynch's credibility as a champion. Really good things over on SmackDown. What about Sasha Banks going out relatively early? to you, does it make sense that she lost to a veteran? She lost to someone as strong as Natalya. For me,
Hmm.
that made sense. It was just the fact that it was done in a relatively underwhelming way and done quite early in the match.
Well, I suppose similar to Dean and also New Day, really, and whether that points to changes in attitude for those characters and direction is one thing. Possibly more with New Day, but Sasha, no, I thought it was a very neat, smart, and efficient way of getting her out of there. She still, she was still shocked. She wasn't humiliated or anything like that. But obviously, Sasha has got a long future in the women's picture on Raw to come. But for the moment, let's kind of push a little bit more Bayley to the forefront, I think, because they've got something so amazing with her that connects with fans of every demographic, and they adore her so much. I really am eager for Bayley to be let loose.
Yeah, what do you think they would do with Sasha then while Bayley and Charlotte kind of go at it?
What are Sasha's options? Alicia Fox. I think ultimately, I think Sasha Banks needs to be wearing the black hat, as it were. Even when she was making her entrance, it's such a cool heel, as they used to call it, cool heel kind of effect. Fans obviously love her, but I think she'd be far more effective when she can make the most of her sneaky strengths, as it were.
Okay, what about the tag team Survivor Series match? Sheamus and Cesaro winning there. Did all of that make sense?
I think so, pretty much. The American Alpha looked fantastic. What were your highlights from this match? I did enjoy Breezango.
Well, they're very
dishing out the fashion police tickets. Didn't last very long. Obviously.
They're very well. There was just too many pamphlets there. It was either Shining Stars Resorts or it was tickets, and then in the other match you had the list as well. There's a lot of paper going over.
Very paper heavy. You'd think they'd get moved to digital, really, wouldn't they?
Exactly. What I find really funny is that there was a disqualification for using a clipboard, yet there's never any disqualification if the Shield can triple powerbomb someone through a table. Why is that allowed? Just because it's outside of the ring? That doesn't really make any sense to me. They're still using a foreign object, aren't they?
Well, they don't like blood on WWE programming, so I suppose maybe there's the very real chance of a paper cut or something like that.
Done by a paper cut. So yeah, no, the Survivor Series tag team. I'm not a fan of Cesaro, Sheamus.
Oh, really?
It's really just, I think, for a booking sense that they've got it so they can continue their feud with New Day. Giving them that title shot. I like that Sheamus that Cesaro won the match with a sharpshooter in Toronto. That was a nice touch. Albeit, I think a lot of the Canadian fans still go, he's Swiss. He's not Canadian.
I think Tyson Kidd might have appreciated it as well. Possibly.
So the two more matches on the card, both screwjob finishes. Really didn't really. The cruiserweight title match, I kind of lost interest in. Baron Corbin came in, that made me lose even more interest. Do we care about Baron Corbin?
A lot of people do. There's a good reason not to care about him after this result from a storyline point of view. The fact that the cruiserweights aren't going over to Smackdown, and Daniel Bryan wasn't very happy with that afterwards. But did you see the Spanish Fly off the apron to the floor here?
Unbelievable! I'm surprised they both got up.
Well, the logic of a move there as well, where the impact is you absorb the same amount of impact, but via a face plant. Again, I'm not the most athletic of guys, and I'm in no way a wrestler, but I don't think I'd necessarily employ that tactic to get an advantage, smash my own face up.
Yeah, I think that's certainly one of those moves where sometimes less is more, and you could probably prolong your career a little bit longer without doing things like that. And The Miz versus Sami Zayn, I said on Thursday just how disappointing it was that you wouldn't get the match between Ziggler and Zayn.
Absolutely.
Because I was really looking forward to that. Miz was solid in this encounter. For me, the finish made sense. It was quite clever. I was just disappointed there was no involvement of Ziggler at all.
Yes, I'd say this is probably one of the biggest disappointments of the night all round, really. Obviously, Miz is on a fantastic run as a performer. A lot of people are invested in him, but I was so deflated before the match had even, well, not deflated, that's a bit dramatic, but so I wanted to see Ziggler and Zayn so much that really my interest in Miz having him there was fairly low.
Well, Rob, it's been so great to get your thoughts on all of WWE Survivor Series today. Just before you go, can you tell us how we can continue to follow all of your great wrestling knowledge on Twitter and social media, and anything else you'd like to mention this morning?
Well, thanks so much for having me, Rich. Just before I go, I'd like you to tell us all about your wrestling nickname. But you can find me on @thatRobLeigh. That's @thatRobLeigh, and Leigh is spelled Leigh.
We will follow you on Twitter. Yes, my wrestling name was Too Far Richard Parr. And if you want to know why, I will tell you all on tomorrow's Sportuccino. Don't miss it. We're live 8 GMT on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Rob, it's been so great to hear from you this morning. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Rich.